caught in the prisoner of the moment. You're damn right. We want to be prisoners of the moment. Let's start with the Ravens, who continue to move the ball with Lamar Jackson because, as our Ravens reporter, Jamison Hensley, tells us, he's Lamar Jackson.
The Ravens offense surprisingly ranks 4th in total yards and 11th in scoring. These numbers come with Baltimore's top 2 running backs out for the season and all-pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley out for the last 2 games. This shows that the Baltimore offense will remain dangerous as long as Lamar Jackson has the ball in his hands. But is this one-man show sustainable? That's really up to Jackson. This season, he's been pressing at times. Jackson has turned the ball over 5 times in 3 games. He's also taking more hits because he's trying to gain those extra yards. What Jackson has to understand is this. The Ravens are a playoff team with Jackson scrambling for those 20-yard runs and throwing those 30-yard completions. If Jackson gets hurt, the season is over.
State of the offense around Lamar Jackson. First of all, you're shaking your
if
head.
Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, their season is over.
Jay, why did you steal my stuff,
If Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, their season is over.
Why did you just steal my stuff,
the
Jay?
conventional wisdom is
You
if you
just
run a
stole what I
lot,
was
you'll get
going-
hurt more, whether or not it's true.
You just stole my stuff because what I was getting ready to lead into is that's for every single quarterback, not just Lamar Jackson. If you lose your star quarterback, chances are you're going to lose your season. And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and what Lamar Jackson is capable of doing, it's not just Lamar Jackson. It's everything around him. It's the offensive line, the defensive line, the secondary. All of those things have gotten them to 2-1. Yes, he has played phenomenal at an MVP level if you chose to look at it that way. But I think getting Rashad Bateman back, getting Boykins back, getting some help, continue to have Mark Andrews lead the charge in the passing game, and Hollywood Brown cavities and big gaping holes in the offense and allowing him to deliver the football on those 30-yard throws plus is going to win a lot of games for them, not just Lamar Jackson being Houdini out there.
Now Bateman, the whole point of drafting him was to get him more help. But, Jay, I think conventional wisdom is outside the pocket, you'll get hurt more. I don't know if that holds up to analysis, but that's conventional wisdom. I think that's why when you run as much as Lamar, people get nervous. However, games started since he took over, 15, 15, and all 3 this year. He's actually not injury prone.
And then when you talk about his turnovers issues, Jay, he had 3 turnovers in the Raiders game.
And sometimes when you're asked to do more, you actually start to complete your skill set. How about last 3 games, he's thrown for 230 yards plus. He only did that 3 times last season, right? So what was the whole conversation last year, Key? We were talking about, can he hit people outside the numbers? You know, that's always the case, and he's been able to do that.
I'm good with him.
How about the Browns? Okay, that's the team that most people took to win the division. They've been without Jarvis Landry. They were without him in week 3, but they had Odell. See some great signs from their other top wideout, Odell, as Jake Trotter tells us.
The chemistry Baker and OBJ finally flashed in Sunday's win over Chicago could be a sign the two have finally worked through their past chemistry issues. With wide receiver Jarvis Landry out at least another 2 weeks with the knee injury, the Browns are going to need more of that to keep up with Baltimore in the AFC North Division race. But more importantly, Cleveland is going to need the Baker-OBJ connection to finally reach its potential if the Browns are going to become a true Super Bowl contender.
See, I agree with that, Key. I think, yes, it's a running team, but how does that not help to have a receiver like Odell?
Well, I think it helps to have any receiver. Odell Beckham is just a special one. I think that when you look at where he started with the Browns last year in Kevin Stefanski's offense, there was some timing issues that took place. I know a lot of people wanted to blame the struggles on him. Once he got hurt, they got going. That's just a coincidence. A guy like this gives you all sorts of opportunities to be successful in the passing game. Once they get Landry paired with him and everything gets back to the normal situation on offense, the Cleveland Browns are going to be hard to beat in the AFC. The defensive side of the ball is dominant. Now you got Chubb and you got Hunt in the offense. You got OBJ back. You get a healthy Landry. The easy job for Baker Mayfield is just not screw it up.
Yeah, you hope he is going to come back and be at a high level with Jarvis Landry. But the one thing I've learned in the first 3 weeks, now going into week 4 of the NFL season, this is a war of attrition, Key. And sometimes things don't always go out the way you want it to go. You hope that both these guys will be healthy. You hope that Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt will be healthy when it's all count and said and done, but that's not always the case.
Health is always important, but what I would say about OBJ and the Cleveland Browns, he got moved from the New York Giants, and I know it just hurt your heart when I said that, to the Cleveland Browns. But who was his coaches? He hadn't even had a chance to even develop in Cleveland under Kevin Stefanski.
100%.
So
the fact
now,
is, he was not there when Stefanski was there.
Now he's there. He's going to be a different player.
And I know what this sounds like. I think what Baker Mayfield needs is a dynamic pass catcher like Odell. Without Odell, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. With Odell, I think they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I know what that sounds like. I believe it. The Bengals are coming off a win at Pittsburgh and look like they could be ahead of schedule. And ESPN Bengals reporter Ben Baby tells us it's because their quarterback, Joe Burrow, is ahead of schedule in his return from ACL surgery.
To quote the great Sean Carter, Joe Burrow is getting his swagger back. The Cincinnati Bengals QB has followed the blueprint to his recovery process and after 3 games is becoming more comfortable following last year's knee surgery. He said he, quote, felt like his old self again after he made a few defenders miss in a Week 3 win over Pittsburgh. Burrow also audibled to a designed quarterback run, something he wasn't sure he was going to be able to do at the beginning of the season. Against the Steelers, Burrow felt confident in his left leg and was happy with his movement in and out of the pocket. Burrow and the Bengals will look to build on their best start in 3 years when they host Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars this Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's an easy win for them on Thursday night against the Jacksonville Jaguars because they are a much better football team and they are ahead of schedule. I think Joe Burrow's done a terrific job since his time as a starting quarterback. He's young, he's learning, he has a little bit of experience, but not enough experience to win that division. Jamar Chase was the right pick for them and what they want to do in the passing game. The only problem that I have is, can you keep Joe Burrow upright and not on his back throwing the football to a guy that they targeted the entire time? They did all this last week without T. Higgins in the lineup. They get T. Higgins back. Could be pretty good fireworks on Thursday night.
Yeah, protection is key, but I also think that the mental reassurance after seeing Joe Burrow get hit a couple of times, after seeing him make some people miss, I don't think everyday people who haven't gone through injury understand how dynamic that can make you feel when you start to trust your body again, right? There's a certain level, like you get hurt, like you don't trust yourself at the same level, but when you start doing things like that, you start to believe in your own ability, and that can unleash different opportunities.
The interesting thing about Joe Burrow's injury is I've never seen a quarterback who had an ACL injury re-injure that in during the season. I've seen running backs and defensive linemen and receive, but I've never
they're
seen
running more now.
I've never seen a quarterback with an ACL come back and then get re-injured again and be done.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock wood.
Knock on wood.
I'll say this.
Well, I'm not superstitious. So.
Joe, they got to pick up they got to pick up an offensive lineman in this upcoming draft, right? But they got the quarterback and the receiver, that connection first. Joe Burrow is a big game player. He is a big game player, and the question is the Bengals organization capable of competing for a Super Bowl? Because they got the right quarterback to do it, in my opinion. And then there's the reigning division champions who look like they could be seeing the end of an era. So what's been the reaction in Pittsburgh to Big Ben's rough start? Here's ESPN Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor.
Look, the reaction around Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger's start to the season being about as rough as it can go is that it's not necessarily all Roethlisberger's fault. I think the blame starts with the offensive line. The issues that Roethlisberger has had, a lot of them stem from that line. It feels like he's not able to go through his progressions, his reads very quickly because of the pressure that's coming on him. And he's been hit so many times in the first 3 weeks that I think it's really affected what he's been able to do.
Duck and Chuck. That's what's happening with Ben Roethlisberger. But I understand exactly what she's saying. But when you look at Ben Roethlisberger in that particular game last week, some of those throws was off target when he was not being hit. Now, maybe that has something to do with recent injuries or whatever the case may be, or it could be as simple as I'm getting rid of this ball because I'm tired of being hit. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, unless they can do something in the next couple weeks to shore up the offensive line and Ben Roethlisberger, they need to start looking to the future because, a guy this old running around, not even running around, trying to move around, it looks bad. It just doesn't look – I don't like it.
It looks like what Phillip Rivers looked like last year. Like a standing like a statue to a degree.
But see,
I'm not comparing
Rivers,
quarterbacks. I'm just saying. I'm just
saying
saying like when they seem so immobile.
Well,
right?
Phillip wasn't going nowhere ever. Ben could move around for so many years in his career, slide, move, take the little weird. Ben was fine.
Yeah, but not now.
Not now.
That's
Phillip
my
Rivers could
point.
never move.
But there's the other element, which is, and remember, I bring this up from time to time. Derek Carr challenged me to a fight in the octagon because I said it looked like he quit 1 year on the Raiders. I wasn't watching him too close, but I said what I thought I saw. But the point is this: Muhammad Ali.
I love it.
No one who ever played football had more heart than Muhammad Ali. The most you can do is match that. He wanted to quit in the Thrilla in Manila. His cornerman Angelo Dundee had to push him out. Know why? Because Joe Frazier was killing his body. Right? Like you can only take the human psyche can only take so much punishment before you start to think, I don't need this. That's not an insult. That's a description of reality.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger is getting destroyed out there.
Yeah, but he's not going to just lay down. I mean, even Mike Tomlin the other day said, "Look, we're going to continue to fight, and if this is Big Ben's last hurrah, he's going to go out fighting.
A few weeks.
He's going to go out fighting.
Give me a few weeks, and then I'm going to turn the page on one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback in Pittsburgh Steelers history. I'm turning the page. I'm just turning the page.
What would it take to move on from Big Ben, Brooke Pryor?
Or not Brooke. Or
Brooke
Brooke.
Pryor, what would it take to move on from Big Ben?
Or not Brooke.
Well,
Hey, bro.
I don't think we see it change
there
like
you go.
that until December when the Steelers have been eliminated from playoff contention. Like, they made the conscious decision to bring Roethlisberger back. He accepted a pay cut. And at this point, I don't think any other quarterback would fare better than Roethlisberger has behind that line. None of the guys that they have left in that quarterback room in Haskins and Rudolph are like a shifty running back or a shifty quarterback that could maybe be significantly more mobile than Roethlisberger, although those two younger guys definitely are, but they're not a drastic style of change from what he's doing. And at this point, anyone that sets up behind there is going to get hit. And I think that they want to ride with Roethlisberger. The feeling is that he still gives them the best chance to win.
but you know what, Key, it seems to me, I brought up the human psyche can only take so much. Mm-hmm. It's not just about, like, I saw Eli Manning was the toughest quarterback. He took all types of shots. I saw a season late in his career where I thought he's basically telling him, I'm not going to get killed behind this offensive line and would just go down, right? And that's the tough guys. It's not so much just that the young guys will get hit, it's that they haven't been hit for 20 years.
The guy done played forever, man. It's okay. He doesn't owe anybody anything, and I would tell this to Ben to his face. It's that time. You have to know when it's time, and it's time now to step aside. And I know she's saying that there's not the mobile quarterbacks as the backup in Rudolph or Haskins or whoever that's there. That's true. But he's won Super Bowls. He's won a lot of games in Pittsburgh. It's time to move on and not keep holding on to something. It's just time to do it, Jay.
I hear what you're saying, Key. But maybe Mike Tomlin doesn't want Big Ben to move on just yet. Maybe he's seen something with Dwayne Haskins, or Mason Rudolph that he's like,
you're not going to win a lot of games this year then.
Well, that's going to be the case regardless, right? Like, is Dwayne Haskins going to win you a lot of games? Mason Rudolph going to win you a lot of games?
I don't know.
So I guess if it comes down to loyalty to a degree, I'm not saying you go the whole year, but for Mike Tomlin, like, this guy has sacrificed a lot for our team.
Well, that's why at some point you turn the page. You give it a few more weeks, like I said, and then you take a look at it, and then you say this, you know what, let's just start to see what these guys are in the regular season before the regular season gets away from us. You just have to do it at some point.
And the other
if
thing
Ben
is,
Roethlisberger continues to look like he looked against Cincinnati.
The other thing is, these guys, the kids, haven't taken shots for 15 years. Like, Roethlisberger's been taking these shots. By the way, the Steelers' upcoming schedule at Packers.
Not good.
Broncos come to town.
Not good.
Seattle comes to town.
Not good.
They go to Cleveland.
Not good.
Bears come to town. They could win that game, maybe. Lions come to town.
Still
But,
got
like,
a
the
defense to worry about with the Bears.
The next bunch of games are rough sledding. It is hard to imagine, for me, the Steelers winning those games. But it's also hard to imagine Tomlin having a 4 or 5 win season, right?
But
like,
that's
one
why
of those
I
things
just
gotta
said.
happen.
That's why I just said they'll still be 8-8 or 8-9 or whatever.
Right,
the case may be.
but where are the wins going to come from?
They've figured it out.
We've
said that many times.
That's why he doesn't want to move on from
with Mason
Roethlisberger.
Rudolph,
Exactly,
man.
that's my point.
And Duck Hodges.
that's what Jay is saying. That's why Tomlin doesn't want to move on from Roethlisberger. Because even if Roethlisberger's getting killed out there, Tomlin is allergic to having he can't have a losing season, and he figures we can at least win more than we lose with this guy.
Games with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph.
He did a couple years ago.
He can win games with anybody.
The line was better at that point.
I don't give a damn, Max. It's him as a coach. He can muster up enough games where he won't have a losing season.
Is it possible?
I think he can.
Is it possible that the reason they didn't draft a quarterback?
Slight retract. I think he can.
Is it possible the reason Pittsburgh didn't draft a quarterback is because Tomlin's looking at Haskins? We've seen enough of Mason Rudolph. He's looking at Haskins and thinking, if Ben can give me a year right now, I can get this kid ready to take the reins next year, but he thinks he's not ready now.
That was part of their thinking when they signed him, on top of the relationship that Mike Tomlin has with Dwayne Haskins. Look, here's what I would say about Dwayne Haskins. Whatever happened in Washington, whatever, he's immature. He was not selected in the first round because he couldn't play. Clearly, he could play because the Washington football team wasn't the only team that would have taken him. They just happened to be in that slot, and they took him. Immaturity in Washington led to his departure. You can't do some of the things. As a rookie, he's signing autographs in the middle of the game, basically, instead of getting over there and kneeling down. That's immature. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and we're going to throw a birthday party and put it on social media. That's immature. That's a 22, 23-year-old kid.
That's immature plus not that bright. Yeah. You're going to put it on social media?
When you're immature, most likely you're not going to be bright in those type of situations.
Yeah, point taken.
And so Mike Tomlin comes, and he puts his arms around him, and they make a decision to sign him, bring him in, see what he has. This is what teams do. Now, he may turn out to be nothing, but at least they get a free sort of look at what he is before they can make a decision on who else is out there in the world that they can replace Ben with next season.
Aaron Rodgers, maybe?
Well, listen to what Aaron Rodgers had to say, because of